Hi, what's up, stoners? Welcome to the local band Smokeout.
We are Frequent Misconceptions, and you are watching local band Smokeout.
Introduce yourself, let us know whereabouts in the world you are, plug and promote anything and everything.
Absolutely. So my name is Bob James. I play guitar for the band Silent Theory, which you can see on the screen here. And we come from the modest town of Moscow, Idaho. If you've never heard of it, you're not alone. We're about an hour-ish south of Coeur d'Alene, Spokane, that area, right by Pullman. So we're in a double college town. We have University of Idaho and Washington State University, so we get a lot of transient traffic that way. But yeah, Silent Theory's been going strong since 2010, I think. So we've been cruising along for a little while, just plugging away, putting out new songs. So
is this your first project, Bob, or were you in prior bands before Silent Theory?
I was in prior bands, nothing too serious. I will say that Silent Theory evolved out of another band that we used to play in called Faded. And we did that for a couple of years, and it was just one of those that ran its natural course. Just creative differences and stuff like that. And so Mitch, Scott, and I were all in that, and we had a different singer at the time, and we had left that project and started Silent Theory shortly after we brought George in to play bass, and I moved to guitar. Recorded the first Silent Theory album, which we were excited about. Looking back on it, I still like the songs hold a special place in my heart, but Black Tie Affair is not our best production, as it were. But over the years we cycled through a few singers, and then 2014, I think 2015, something like that, just by pure happenstance we came across Dakota, because it was one of those, like, we were a band without a singer, and Scott's wife's best friend was working with a guy who just happened to be like, yeah, my son's a singer without a band. And we're like, well, okay, whatever. So we had a good conversation with him over the phone. We brought him up for rehearsal, and we haven't looked back since.
Wow. So it was the first person you brought in was like the perfect on a recommendation. That's awesome how that works out with Dakota. Very cool. I have a really weird nerd question for you, but some important stuff, but I have a weird nerd question. Do you guys follow your numbers on social media like pretty regularly? Like I'm one of those people where I kind of check the numbers pretty frequently. The reason I ask that is I want to know if you guys got your YouTube plaque.
We did. Scott's is actually hanging on the wall over here.
There it is. Hell yeah.
So I'm actually in our practice space. So this is our spot. But yeah, we got our YouTube plaques. That was pretty fucking exciting. If actually hope swearing is okay.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
All right. That was just one of those, like, we were so stoked when we had 1,000 like subscribers and stuff. And then to get to that level is just like absolutely incredible.
That is
It is kind of a bummer that the next milestone is like 1 million or something like that. So
yeah, it's a hard to hit one for sure. I forgot to introduce my co-host. His name is JB right there. He makes music too. He goes by JB Music 661 and just about everything. JB, do you have a question for Bob?
Yeah, Bob, my question is, with all the different places that I've seen on like your bio and stuff, what was your favorite place that you guys performed?
Ooh, that's tough. I know that for Dakota, his, like, we all have kind of our list of places we hope and dream to play one day. And for Dakota, the Machine Shop in Flint, Michigan was definitely one of those. So getting to play that a couple of years back to a sold out crowd, because we were there with Head PE, and Flint, Michigan loves Head PE. That was a really cool experience. But I think for me personally, playing at Incarceration right after the pandemic was just a surreal experience, because we played some pretty good shows before, but to play to like I don't know how many thousands of people like at a festival that's just there to have a good time was a pretty cool opportunity.
At the ICP show, did you partake in the Fago shower?
No, thankfully it wasn't an ICP. It was Head PE.
Oh, I heard you wrong. My bad. Okay.
No, you're similar time frame and fan base.
I was thinking in my head, I'm like, that's kind of an odd lineup. They opened for ICP. I was like, I don't know, but it all whatever happens. Hey, how did the Josey Scott feature come about?
I mean, I like to think that it's really great songwriting, and I definitely think that was a part of it. But a lot of it was just kind of sheer luck and some connections, really. Because Paul Crosby, excuse me, the original bass player and one of the founding members of Saliva, is actually our manager. And so he just, obviously him and Josey go way back. And so he randomly just was sending him some songs. And I guess, Josey has listened to some and be like, that's a good song, but not for me. And I guess when he sent him this one, he's like, that's a track that I want to be a part of. So we were able to make that connection. It was a pretty awesome experience.
I thought it was interesting that he chose to rap on the song, and in like the first verse he kind of does like a hip hop thing, which is a little bit different than I'm used to from him, given like what I know about Saliva. So I thought it was kind of cool that he was slightly experimental in my eyes, and maybe that's something he does normally in his solo stuff. But I thought it was interesting that he did that. But is there an artist or two that you've always wanted to be on a Silent Theory song, it just didn't work out, or it's just not the right time? Can we name drop?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's obviously a ton. I think right now, if we were just looking at like vocal features and stuff like that, there's some people like Johnny Hawkins from Nothing More that I think has such an incredible voice, and he has such like cool control of his voice. He does so many different things with. I think that's a really interesting thing to work with. But yeah, I don't know, man. There's some of those iconic bands from like, when I first started playing music that are kind of all over the place. But I mean, I think even like Ben Burnley from Breaking Benjamin and stuff like that would be really cool, because he also has a very distinctive voice and just has made such an impact in the scene.
Hell yeah, totally agree. That would be a fantastic feature. Walk me through how you guys are in your jam space that we can see behind you. Walk me through how a Silent Theory song is written. How does it start? Do you approach the fellas with a riff? Does it start with a vocal melody? How do you guys create a song from scratch?
We've done it a few different ways over the years. And everywhere from just kind of like somebody messing around with something in practice and we're like, let's circle back to that. But lately it is a lot of kind of what you're talking about. Like one of us will come up with something. Mitch plays around on his piano or his acoustic guitar, so he likes to get out behind the drum kit every now and then. So he'll plunk around and find like a melody or something like that and send it over to Scott, and Scott can kind of build out some guitars and stuff on top of that. Something like that. Like we'll typically like feed ideas to Scott, and then he kind of like works on arrangement type stuff, and then we kind of like do all the fine-tuning stuff in practice. But Dakota, I say, does on Delusions, the lyric writing was probably like 75-25 with Dakota and different like pairings with us. But ever since then, Dakota has written 100% of the lyrics, and I don't know, we just have a ton of faith in him. Because I always like to tell people that like I like to think of myself as like a little bit of a writer and a storyteller, but I tell a very specific and direct kind of style of story, whereas Dakota can tell that story in a way that like it's a lot more applicable to people. Like it's not just insanely vague phrases that mean nothing. Like it's all about something very particular, but he does it in a way that like if he's having a problem in his relationship and he writes a song about it, people can listen to that and be like, God, my boss is a dick, and I really respond to this song, or whatever it is in their life. And so we really appreciate that about Dakota.
Hell yeah, Dakota's awesome, man. Were you prepped about the hot sauce?
Very vaguely. I was told that there would be trivia of some sort and to have some hot sauce.
I like to have a little section of the interview that makes people be like, you know what, this was unusual. I will slightly remember this one. So I asked that our guests bring hot sauce, but the cool thing is you get to pick the trivia. So if you have it, I'll ask that you go get it in a second, and I'll jam a song to stall. But can you think of a movie or TV show that you've seen so many times it's impossible that I look up trivia and stump you right
now? There's a few of them, but I think the one that we quote most often in the band is probably Forgetting Sarah Marshall. So that'd be like a safe one.
Such a good comedy right there. All right, if you have the hot sauce or you need to go grab it, I would say grab it. Otherwise, I'll send it to JB to ask a question or two. What'd you think, Bob?
Yeah, I got some right here.
Oh, you already got it. Okay, cool. Hell yeah. Well, then,
Nothing crazy. I will be honest with the fans. It is just Frank's Red Hot. That's all I had in my fridge when I was leaving the house, so that's what we brought.
I'm gonna let you pick. Would you prefer? Because if I can't stump you, me and JB got to do one instead. Would you prefer the ghost pepper wing sauce, the blueberry hell, the mule sauce, or red hot riplets?
Let's go Red Hot Riplets. Just keeping that Red Hot family.
Riplets. JB, go ahead and shoot one, and let me look up some Sarah Marshall trivia real quick.
So, is there any? I was stalking your guys' profile. Is there any big events that you are excited to announce, or you can tell us, or have planned that you have like big event coming up?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're definitely we were in between booking agencies there for a little bit, and so we kind of had a weird summer this summer, but we're in the process of trying to get in contract with a new booking agent, so hopefully that'll be picking up. But we are next week actually playing 4 shows in Florida with Josey Scott, so that'll be a blast. And then in August 10th through the 13th or something like that, we'll be playing 4 days at Sturgis out at the rally. So
Amazing.
Pretty excited about that.
That'll be fun. Sturgis with all the bikers and stuff. That'll be a good time. You guys will be perfect for that scene. Perfect.
I think it's going to be a really interesting cross section of America. Just people from all corners.
It's totally going to be that. Before we get to the trivia, we have a lot of smaller artists watch this show. Can you explain the process of how a band goes about even getting a booking agent? What advice could you give on that topic?
I think for us, the big thing that was the first step was getting a manager. We got lucky, and Paul actually reached out to us and wanted to work with us because we've had a few kind of hit and miss opportunities with people over the years. But I think when you're looking at business connections, like having somebody at least identify themselves as your manager helps kind of portray that you're serious about it. Sadly, a lot of people get a lot of cold calls and stuff. And so if you're just like, hey, I play bass in this really awesome band, they're like, yeah, no, I bet there's a lot of people that do. I mean, there's definitely people who have had success that way, but I would say definitely try shooting for a manager first. And then, really they just kind of do all the legwork, shopping you around, just kind of focusing on, all of your socials, your streams and that kind of stuff really helps. So if you're putting together quality recordings, quality videos and stuff like that, it makes their job a lot easier when they're like, hey, I got this awesome band, look at this awesome stuff they're doing, you really should pick them up.
Hell yeah, it's pretty good advice, I'd say. JB, let's see if we can stump on this Sarah Marshall trivia though. The most important things in life right here we go. In Forgetting Sarah Marshall, Crime Scene of the Crime is a show that Sarah Marshall is on in the movie. What real-life actor plays her partner on the show?
That would be Billy Baldwin.
That is correct!
Hell yeah!
Damn.
Well done! JB, we got to do the hot sauce, and then in addition to whatever this lands on, if it makes sense. All right, well, this is going to be a fun interview. So, Bob, me and JB actually both own a beer helmet. I gotta grab it real quick. So we're gonna ask you some questions while getting a little intoxicated, if that's okay. But
Absolutely.
What is your let's rewind back to the incarceration fest that you said earlier about after the pandemic. That show in particular stood out as something special to you. I'm sure they had some form of like catering service for the bands, but what is your go-to munchie meal on like a best show ever night? Like where's the band going to dine? Let's just say the label or your manager is forking over the bill that night.
I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Like, we really like to eat, and we really like to eat good food. But if we were just going out to eat, we are most likely going to be found at a buffet, probably either a Golden Corral or a country buffet or something like that.
Because you get all the options.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and you can just be completely gluttonous about it. But I think we also have, or at least the rest of the group has kind of gotten into sushi and stuff like that the last couple of years. So if somebody else was paying, I may take them up on that.
Is there a food item that you can't stand? Oh, I don't know where my
Oddly enough, following my last comment there, I really am finicky about seafood. I don't have a great reason why. Like, I love clam chowder, but I don't like clams by themselves. And so, like, I'm just really picky about a lot of seafood stuff, and I usually stray away from it.
What song? I see the item I need. I'm missing the clamp thing, BG, or I call him JB. That I've never done before. But what? JB asked another question. I lost my train of thought. Let me grab the beer helmet thing. I'm sorry.
So
I'm
I'm
sorry.
very curious. Where is that picture taken on your the Spotify profile right there?
That was actually in downtown Spokane. So right by there's a like an amphitheater thing kind of in the park that sits right in the center of downtown Spokane, and there's a footbridge that goes to and from it. And in the winter they put Christmas lights and stuff up on it. So
It's so cool.
Bob, what's the hardest song for you to play in your set, and why is that one so complicated?
For a while it was definitely 6 Feet Under, just because the attitude that really is required for that song, and just there was just a couple of weird things, especially like vocally. There's a couple like weird things in there that we really kind of had to practice quite a bit on. Another one is Am I Fixed Yet? Off of Hunter Be Hunted. Like we all absolutely love that song, but it is definitely a much higher cadence than a lot of our songs. And Mitch did not grow up listening to or playing as much punk music as I did when I was younger, and so like that one really kicks his ass. And so we usually have to pair that right next to something like Alice or one of our slower acoustic songs or something like that if we're gonna play it, so Mitch can get some water and catch his breath.
Have a break.
In the background, you didn't even know I did it, but I've done it. I've got the hardest Sarah Marshall trivia question. There's no way you know this one. There's just no way.
Okay.
What is the name of the suite Peter chooses to stay in while at the hotel in Hawaii? It has an interesting name.
I hope I'm pronouncing this right. I think it's like the Kapula Suite.
Mother. That is correct.
Hell yeah!
You've seen that movie a bunch, clearly.
Turtle Bay Resort.
Bob, do you know any jokes? Can you tell us a joke?
Oh, I don't know if I know any good ones, honestly, off the top of my head.
Do you know any riddles by chance?
No, not really any good ones.
For sure. Is there a particular genre of music that you don't care for some reason?
I would say modern pop country. It just doesn't do it for me. It's basically pop music, but they insist on calling it country music, and it's just I think it panders and is reductive.
Would that be like Shania Twain first album? Is that kind of what you mean?
No, I actually really like country music basically up until about Garth Brooks, and then everything after that it kind of kept trending towards like just drink a beer in your truck down by the river. I do also acknowledge that Garth Brooks is like one of the last like real country artists in my opinion, but he is also the reason the country music has trended towards pop music, because he made it a lot more cross genre and stuff like that. But now you give me some Waylon Jennings or something like that and I'll listen to that all day long.
Oh yeah, Waylon's awesome. Let's see. Is there a phobia that you have by chance? Is there anything that scares you or something that's odd? Like, does anybody in the band have like an odd phobia that's just kind of like, why are you scared of that, dude? But they are.
I don't know if I would say odd, but Mitch has a real thing about feet. Like, if he never had to look at people's feet or talk about feet or just think about feet, he would be a happy person. And another fun thing about Mitch is he also like doesn't share straws even with like his wife. It's like, yeah, I'll kiss her all day long, but like just the thought of like sharing a straw with somebody is really disgusting.
Oh, that's interesting. That is the odd one. Not sharing straws. So like if he orders like the ultimate 7-Eleven Slurpee and he takes 10 minutes to put it together and you just run over real quick and touch a straw, but you're already on the tour bus, He's done with
He
it.
will make another one. Yeah, he will go back and get another
That's
one.
funny. That is funny. What song in your guys' catalog, if you can only pick, I'll say two. If you can only pick two, are you most proud of?
Oh boy.
It's too hard to pick one, so give me two.
I will say, I think for one, Agony would have to be one of the ones because I don't know, it was a good song. I feel like it was well written. It was a different process for us, so it kind of forced us out of our box that we usually write and record songs in. But then it also, just had really great response and stuff like that. I have a few other songs that I really, really love, but I think I'd be remiss if I didn't say Fragile Minds because, that was the first song we recorded as a band. That is the song that is still carrying the load as far as it brings in a lot of money for us. It is just still a fan favorite. To this day, we're still getting comments on the YouTube page about how that song affected different people and stuff like that. So I think it's a really cool song that at the time we're like, we really like this song, but I don't know if anybody else is going to love it. But we're still getting feedback that it's still having an impact on people. So that's really encouraging.
That's badass. I'm low-key mad that I couldn't stump you on Sarah Marshall, man. I look forward to slightly torturing the guests we have on the show, and I was not able to do it. We have time for a couple more. JB, one or two more questions for Bob.
So say if for whatever reason tomorrow someone came up to you and said, "Hey, you guys can't do music anymore," but what is the last statement that you would like to say going from there? What would you have, or what would be a lasting statement coming from your music you would like the world to know?
I always try and talk to younger, in interviews when people ask about advice for younger bands. I think the thing that I always think about is we all started listening to music and playing music and stuff like that because it was fun. It spoke to us in a different way. It really affected us in a certain way. But playing music should be fun. And they call it the music industry or music business and stuff like that because it is very much a business. You get to a point and it does, you really have to focus on your metrics and it really starts affecting money and money determines whether or not you can continue to do it and that kind of stuff. And so there's definitely the business side of things, but finding those ways to still find the joy in it and have fun while you're making the money and doing the business side of stuff, I think is really, really key to actually being successful. That and just writing songs that are, that mean something to you, whether they make sense to anybody else, as long as it is, comes from the heart about something, whether it's partying or about the death of a loved one, anywhere in between there, it's just got to be, of substance.
It's got to resonate with somebody.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like that. Is there a particular time in the band's history where you guys made a mistake and you don't want a band that's just starting up to make this mistake?
Yeah, I would say pretty early on, actually, kind of in the Faded days and kind of what led to our separation that turned into Silent Theory. I would just be careful about the people who, approach you and want to work with you. Do your homework before you sign with them. And if your gut is telling you I don't know about this, maybe take a beat and think about it. Cause truthfully, we signed a contract that was a Word document that had several misspellings and stuff like that. And we're it'll be fine. We'll work it all out. And then we got locked into this management contract that was absolutely just killing the band and everything about it. So yeah, just be weary of those who are jumping at the chance to grow your future.
What are you doing the rest of the day after this?
Oh man. I don't know. Might mess around with the guitar since I'm here. But other than that, probably go home and play with my dogs. It's been super hot the last week or so. I think it's finally cooled down a little bit in my backyard, so get the dogs out of the house a little bit.
How many dogs do you have?
I've got 2 dogs and currently 1 cat. We're in the market trying to get. My wife and I are actually going to adopt 2 more cats tomorrow. But
cool.
One of our dogs is a half corgi, half mutt. So his head and his torso are about the same size as a normal medium-sized dog, but he has got stumpy little legs and no tail.
That's corgi.
And then our other dog is just a Heinz 57. just a little bit of everything. And she's delightfully a puppy all the time.
That is awesome. Well, Bob, this is fun, man. We appreciate you hanging out for a little bit. Is there anything that you'd like to plug and promote before we let you go?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you go to silenttheorymusic.com, well, excuse me, just silenttheory.com. We own both, but silenttheory.com, we'll always be updating our tour dates and stuff like that. We got a link to our merch store. So if you feel so inclined to buy a t-shirt, or if you still like physical CDs and stuff like that, we still have those. Yeah, there's also links to all of our music. We're on all of the social media sites. As you can see, we're on Spotify. We're also on YouTube and Facebook and all that kind of stuff. Definitely go give us that big blue thumbs up. It means a lot to us. And yeah, definitely, please, if you haven't already listened, go check it out, and hopefully you like it enough to keep listening.
The last question I got for you is, was there ever a moment in your career where you had a, hey, mama, I made it moment, and you called mama and you said, I made it? This is the moment where you realized the band's doing something. It's now, I don't need to do this as a 9 to 5. I'm now 100% committed to the band. When was that moment for you? The hey mama, I made it moment.
I think I don't know. Like, it was really like a spot where like we were starting to get some good traction. And I'm trying to remember if it was a CD release show. No, I think it was just a concert. But my parents had drove, because they live like 6 hours away. And so they drove over for the show, and they were way too old to be staying up late and going to rock shows and stuff like that. But they came out to be supportive. And I don't know, it was just one of those things where like it had been a really good week. Like I think it was around the time that we had signed with Paul, and had some good shows coming up, and just a lot of things were looking up. And at the show, I just kind of had that moment with my parents where I was like, I appreciate all this. This is like all a byproduct of that like bass guitar that you probably didn't want to buy me for my 16th birthday. Like, it is all kind of led to this. So, I really appreciate you investing in that.
That is one of the best answers ever when I asked that question. Well done, Bob. Thanks, man, for hanging out. I'm pissed off that I could not stump you and get you to do some hot sauce, but clearly you've seen Sarah Marshall many times. Your music's awesome, brother. Tell the boys we said hello. Congratulations on your success, and just keep doing the damn thing, because it is working, dude. It is working.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bob of Silent Theory.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Cheers, brother. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the pups. And that's super cool of you for adopting the cats tomorrow, man. Well done.
Hi, what's up, stoners? Welcome to the local band Smokeout.